Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newest edition of Dale Center NASCAR betting preview for the Cookout 400 at Martinsville Speedway this weekend. I know it's a little bit of a late drop. Typically, we're a Friday drop. It's Saturday. Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you're watching this. I very much appreciate it. Just went out of town, had an excursion, and got back in later than I thought. So it kind of pushed everything back. So put on the injury report personal reasons as to why we were late and didn't drop it on Friday. Anywho, congratulations if you tailed the Craftsman Truck Series card last night, Friday night. Nailed it. Basically a 17-unit card, gave it out for free. I'll have Cup qualifying bets here, and I'll also tweet those out for free. Xfinity will be virtue of the Dale Club. Click that link below to see my Xfinity bets and my Cup bets for Martinsville this weekend over on dubclub.win, who I've teamed up with for all of 2025 to deliver winning NASCAR bets all year long. So let's get right into it. You see odds on the bottom of your screen, virtue of DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's talk Cup qualifying. This, I feel like, is the one race, maybe outside of drafting tracks, where we can come out of retirement and lay some bets. I've got a Cup qualifying card that I'm going to lay here. As I said, I'm going to tweet it out. But when we talk about Martinsville, especially relative to Vegas and Homestead, maybe even Phoenix, but mainly these mile and a halves like Vegas and Homestead, where you kind of got unpredictable pole winners like Alex Bowman, Michael McDowell, especially in Spire equipment, Spire's first ever pole. The weather, I think, matters a little bit less. Like, yes, this Cup car is very aero dependent, but that matters way more at a bigger, high-speed racetrack. Phoenix or Vegas, seems like the track was getting hotter based on what time we started qualifying. Homestead, Alex Bowman was blessed with cloud cover. Looks like today we're going to have cloud cover all day long at Martinsville. So regardless of that, it's ideal conditions for qualifying. I think it's going to be pretty basic. I think drivers that come out later are going to be a little bit better, and I think the fastest cars are going to be the most capable of winning the pole since Atlanta. That sounded kind of fucked up. Basically, what I'm saying is I think you're going to get a qualifying session that's not going to be dictated by some sort of randomness with cloud cover, track temperature, etc. I think the fastest cars will qualify the best. With that being said, that gives you a most likely to happen type of feel. Like, what's most likely to happen? Now that I feel that is in the cards for Saturday afternoon, practice qualifying 2 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Eastern, I think we can bet on this. So I've got 5 drivers that I'm taking to win the pole via Canby, Bet Rivers, Bally, whatever you use that is a Canby book. They always have qualifying lines up, and this is what I'm looking at. 5 drivers to win the pole. Kyle Larson, he goes out dead last. We saw him win the pole last year, going out last. Barely edged Bubba Wallace by like 1/1000th of a second. Something ridiculous. Kyle Larson has qualified well here in the past throughout the Gen 7 era. Won the pole here last spring. We got to go with Kyle Larson. I know it's 4-1 plus 400. We're going to do it. We're going to build a card here. All right. Kyle Larson, top play. At plus 500, we got to go with Chase Briscoe. Martin Truex Jr., James Small were dialed in qualifying at Martinsville. In 2023, 2024, won the pole here last fall. Always made it to the final round. This race car with this team is phenomenal at qualifying, in particularly at these shorter racetracks. And that fits exactly what Chase Briscoe did at Stewart-Haas Racing. When you looked up at Martinsville, maybe Phoenix, Richmond sometimes, it seems like Chase Briscoe qualified very, very well at these shorter racetracks. And not just Briscoe, but SHR in general. So my point here is, as bad as Stewart-Haas Racing was in some areas, this behind me in qualifying trim was one of their bright spots. So I feel like that helps Chase Briscoe, not just from an experience standpoint, but from a confidence standpoint. And now you got a car that's been the best car here in qualifying trim before. So Chase Briscoe, 5-1, expensive maybe. It's up to you if you want to make that. If you want to make that declaration, I don't blame you. I think it is kind of expensive. Qualifying odds kind of suck. And what I had said a few weeks ago has not worked. I was hoping a few underdog pole winners. I think Bowman was like maybe 14-1-ish. But McDowell being, 60-1, 70-1. I was kind of hoping if more of those would happen. And I think they're still going to because of how aero dependent this car is. And how finicky it is with weather, heat, etc. I think you are going to get more underdog pole winners throughout 2025. But obviously, it's not changing anything in how lines are set because you're still getting everybody pretty juiced up at the top, which is very frustrating. There's no question about it. With that being said, Martinsville, the shorter racetracks, I think, are more predictable pole winners. So we're going with Larson, we're going with Briscoe, and I'm going with Chase Elliott. And now he goes out a little bit earlier, 6-1. But Connor Zilisch went out, I don't know, final 12 drivers left in Xfinity qualifying yesterday. He got the pole. So, it doesn't have to be the last guy, and that's my point here. The weather's not going to change a lot. I don't think the track is going to change a lot in the qualifying session. So, do I believe they're going to get faster as they go? Yes. But do I also believe that you can be, in that final 12 to 10 guys and run a ridiculously fast lap and hold on to it? Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. I think Chase Elliott for sure will qualify top 5. So I think Chase Elliott 6-1, worth a play as well. And then 2 underdog bets. Bubba Wallace 18-1. I love this so much. Love this. I think out of everybody, there is a fantastic opportunity here for Bubba to get the pole. He qualified second here last year. By the way, that line has moved now to 14-1. I would still bet it. I got 18-1 actually. So I would still bet 14-1. I think Bubba Wallace, 10-1 or better is a great bet. I mean, literally just missed the pole here last year. Is an underrated short track racer, and guess what? He's going out at the very end, right before Kyle Larson, who goes out dead last. So Bubba Wallace has qualified well here before, qualified well on short tracks. He's got a lot of momentum from Homestead last week, and gotta be thinking that he's thinking about last spring when he just missed the pole. And it's kind of funny how it works out because they both had made the second round of qualifying with a different format in 2024, but Bubba had gotten the pole, the provisional pole. Kyle Larson went out last. Guess what? Those 2 drivers are the final 2 to go out, I believe, outside of Alex Bowman, who I don't anticipate getting a back-to-back pole. So don't be surprised if you get the same scenario. And then my final bet is Ryan Preece. Similar, kind of going out a little after Chase Elliott in that bottom 10 range. He's won the pole here before in Stewart-Haas Racing Equipment. This is the type of track that we're all looking at Ryan Preece. I know most people are probably talking about Preece from a winning the race standpoint, not qualifying. He's 35-1, 30-1 range, probably open higher than that. Has been hammered down a little bit. This is what Ryan Preece was brought in to win at, this track behind me, at RFK Racing. Because, Brad has had good moments in the short tracks. Buescher's obviously won at Richmond and Bristol. But Ryan Preece, this can turn into his ballpark. I mean, if not for I think it was a speeding penalty when he was with SHR in 2023, he probably wins or at least runs up in the top 3. I mean, he had a rocket, wasn't getting past, made a mistake. So I think Ryan Preece, you want to talk about winning bet, 30-1, go ahead. Totally cool with it because if he qualifies well, which I think he will, going out with a later draw. I think his line will shrink a little bit. I think you might see 20-1, maybe 18-1. So another CLV opportunity there with Ryan Preece. And in terms of qualifying bets, love him in the spot at 14-1. Excuse me. So 5 qualifying bets. All 5 drivers have had a strong history of qualifying well at Martinsville. Multiple of these drivers have won poles at Martinsville in the Gen 7 era, and if they haven't won a pole, they've been this close, and they've had good short track qualifying resumes in general since 2022. And I also believe they all 5 have later draws and are in very good race cars. So 5 drivers to win the pole: Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Preece. This card is a winner, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I think my total unit count on it is about 6 units, maybe like 5.8, 5.9. So around $300. Could be a little high risk, and that's kind of where the books are putting us. That's the situation they're putting us in with saturating all these guys at the top. This is just one of the rare weekends I think we can actually predict it, and predict it well enough to secure a profit. So lock those in. We're dialed in for qualifying and here in a couple hours. So you'll have time to get those in by the time this episode drops, and I'll also tweet these out for free. So check me out on Twitter, link below. Check out in the Discord, link below. I'll notify everybody. There's no way you can miss them if you just pay a measly level of attention on this Saturday afternoon. Let's move on to Xfinity. Xfinity, I feel like, is going to be kind of tough. I'll go ahead and start with the obvious here, or at least for me, it's the obvious. I don't know. Some people are probably a little spooked on this guy because think about William Byron in the truck race. They did not practice well. They did not have good lap times, and they ran like shit. I don't think you can apply the same thing to Mr. Eric Almirola, who swept Martinsville in the Xfinity Series last year in 2024. Now Almirola, who opened around 2.5-1 to start the week, 3-1 maybe on a Bet 365 or Caesars potentially. Now looking at 4-1, 4.5-1. BetMGM was 5-1. And I just watched it in front of my eyes while I was talking about qualifying bets go from 5-1 to plus 475. And I still think that's fine. I still think that is totally worth it. What I already have, if you subscribe to Dub Club, we hit on big CLV opportunities here with Austin Hill and Brandon Jones. Brandon Jones, not as much. He has come down a little bit, but Austin Hill, I got 22-1. Outright. Now we're looking at a co-favorite for Austin Hill, 6-1, 5-1. That's awesome. And I believe he's going to be a factor based on how practice went. I don't think he has the best long run car, but he's got a good enough car and a good enough pit crew that he can put himself in a position like that pit crew typically does. He can put himself in a winning position here at Martinsville, and it's just, don't sleep on RCR, man. Their Xfinity program is totally different than their Cup program. Austin Hill's been close to winning at Martinsville before, struggled here last year. Clearly, they brought something different back for 2025, and based on qualifying and practice and qualifying, it's worked. Not just for him, but for Jesse Love as well. They both had speed. So what I already have in Xfinity, I've got a Brandon Jones outright at 20-1 and Austin Hill outright at 22-1, a Brandon Jones top 3 at 5-1, and an Austin Hill top 3 at 6-1. I love where I'm at with Xfinity. I'm totally fine with that. And then we explore adding an Eric Almirola. That's going to happen. I'm for sure betting on Almirola. As I was talking about earlier, kind of with the Byron situation in the truck race last night, I think it's a little bit different here because Eric Almirola and Toyota in particular, they just don't ever show up at the top of the board in lap averages. Because while other guys fire off extremely well, like the JRM cars, the RCR cars, the Gibbs cars just don't fall off at the same rate. And we've seen this in particular with Eric Almirola. Saw it with Brandon Jones at Phoenix, which is not a great track comp, but similar-ish. So I think Gibbs is going to be a factor with those guys. You know, Brandon Jones qualified well. I'm glad that he's got track position because it seems like there's been a few weeks this year where they have had mistakes, practice or qualifying, had leaks. Starting in the back is a huge deficit, especially at a track like this. So I think Brandon Jones still just sticking in the Gibbs camp. I saw 14-1 somewhere. 14-1 over on Canby. Oh my God, 9-1 on DraftKings. That's fucking terrible. I'd consider pulling the trigger on a Brandon Jones bet at 14-1. Now, if you missed out on the top three, you're kind of SOL because I don't like betting Hill or Jones at these prices now. I mean, obviously, I'm in a different situation having bet them, but hopefully you subscribe to Dale Club and you saw those bets yesterday before practice began. Now, we talk about Junior Motorsports. They have been qualifying super well. Allgaier has won. Zilich has won at COTA. You know, you wonder about Carson Kvapil. He's going to be a hot topic this weekend because it's a short track. He had a race here last year, finished in the top 5, was really good in his limited opportunities in 2024. And this is the type of track, you know, based on his late model roots, everyone expects something spectacular. And, you know, similar to the Toyota camp, it seems like Kvapil just doesn't, at least this weekend, and there's probably a couple other weekends where they had fringe top 5 speed, but didn't show it in lap averages, which once again, like the Toyota camp tells me that they're more dialed in on longer runs. And you can look at the lap averages here, and Carson Kvapil basically nowhere to be found, while Sammy Smith, JRM teammate, fires off with speed, has good long run speed, potentially the best, alongside Justin Allgaier, who him and Sammy both are a little bit better than Austin Hill as the run goes on, according to the data. Now, Connor Zilich is on the pole. He's never raced here in Xfinity. He did race here in trucks. I think he finished like 11th or 12th or something. One direction that I think I'm gonna lean in here could sound crazy, but I don't think it is, because Connor Zilich on ovals has not done anything impressive yet. Now, yeah, he's had penalties, right? We bet him last week for top 5, had a crazy pit road penalty. I don't think he was a top 5 car anyway, but I think over on Canby, there's a matchup. Connor Zilich versus Carson Kvapil. Kvapil is minus 106 in this spot. Zilich minus 125. I think this is more of a toss-up. They both qualified up front. I think Kvapil, he's got more short track experience. He's also raced an Xfinity car at Martinsville. Zilich hasn't. And he's been a little bit mistake prone at these mile and a halves, and their team has made mistakes too, not just Carson, not just a Carson problem. Didn't they run out of fuel at Vegas, or was that Homestead last week? They've made some mistakes as well. But if you're going to give me these guys in a head-to-head and you're going to put Kvapil as the dog, I think I'm going to take Carson Kvapil. You know, we talked about Ryan Preece earlier. Why did RFK bring Ryan Preece in? Well, he's a good driver, but in particular, these short tracks are his specialty. Carson Kvapil, same thing. These short tracks are his specialty. So while Zilich is a prodigy, he's going to win on ovals at some point. I don't think it's going to be today. I think Kvapil in this spot is a great pick. If he's going to be the dog, he is the short track guy. You know, that is, you know, it reeks of Josh Berry in 2020 or 2021 when he broke through and got that win at Martinsville. That's what this feels like. So maybe missed out on a CLV opportunity because outright Kvapil's looking more like 7-1, 8-1 range. I think I'm fine with taking a shot on that, but What I would rather do, which MGM has just now uploaded top threes. Hopefully they'll put some top fives out too. They were actually good about truck odds last night, so that makes me feel good. Carson Kvapil's right around even money for a top five on DraftKings, and I'm sure somewhere like Hard Rock, Bet 365, he's probably even money or slightly plus money. So two bets there that I'm probably going to plug. Kvapil for a top five, Kvapil over Zilich, and I think we got to roll with a Kvapil outright, and that's probably going to be my card, people. You know, Almirola outright, Kvapil outright, which, by the way, Almirola's even money for a top three. Now, let me check Canby. None of this I have bet yet except for Austin Hill and Brandon Jones, by the way. Almirola plus 115 for a top three over on Canby. That is enticing. I got to tell you, that's pretty enticing. Just keep an eye on the card. But I can tell you right now what I'm leaning towards. There's no doubt in my mind I'm going to bet Kvapil over Zilich. That's going to happen. There's no doubt in my mind I'm going to bet a Kvapil top five. Now, am I going to go max play 3, 4, 5 units like we did last night with Chandler Smith? Probably not. But I think it's just a good bet. I think he's going to run top five all day if he doesn't make mistakes. If he runs like he did last year in JRM equipment, he's going to have a good run. He's going to be a factor. He's going to contend for the win. So I got to give Carson Kvapil a shot here because we've just seen this story before. So give me Kvapil top five, Kvapil over Zilich, probably a Kvapil outright, an Almirola outright, and we're going to think about an Almirola top three to go with a Brandon Jones outright, an Austin Hill outright, a Brandon Jones top three, and an Austin Hill top three. And that's going to be our card. Could be looking at 7-8 unit betting card. So we're risking it, but I do think that based upon what I've seen in practice and with the lap averages, with race experience, prior results at Martinsville, this is going to be a good card. So remember, hit the link below. Dubclub.win is who I'm teamed up with for 2025 to give you winning NASCAR bets all season long. That's what I'm feeling for Xfinity. Now, let's move to Cup. I'll go ahead and tell you what I have right now. And we're going to go straight to FanDuel because this is just so bizarre how they've handled NASCAR in 2025. Last week, for Homestead, we never even got top 10 odds until qualifying was over. And now we get top 10 odds on fucking Tuesday. So I mean, that's fine. I'm happy that we got them because if you subscribe to Dub Club, you saw my top 10 bets and they have moved a little bit. Nothing crazy. I mean, there's one crazy one that's moved. I'd say in the crazier, line movement realm. 4 top 10 bets, and you can still bet all of these. Todd Gilliland, I got plus 950. 7-1, I still think is fine. Ran well here last year in 2024. Seems like front row. Todd Gilliland in particular, he was good here in trucks, and he's been sporty here in Cup. 9.5 to 1, could not resist. So give me Todd Gilliland for top 10. 7-1 is my breaking point. I'll take 7-1 if I have to. If I'm you, if I'm not subscribed to the Dale Club, didn't see the bets 4 days ago, I would take 7-1. And I'm going to scan these other books here just to make sure because lines are moving in front of me. Like they're literally moving as we are talking right now. Top 10 on DraftKings, 7-1. BetMGM. Get off Xfinity there. BetMGM 6.5 to 1. So there you go. FanDuel still has the best line there. Todd Gilliland, top 10. Eric Jones, top 10. He had an abysmal year last year. There's no doubt. But had a top 15 here last year. Has had prior success at Martinsville. We have a tire with more fall off. I think that benefits some of your older guys. Remember, Eric Jones is not some rookie our 2-3 year guy. It snuck up on us, but he has been in the Cup Series for like 8 years now. I like the veteran guys in situations where you're going to have legitimate tire fall off. So Eric Jones, 13-1. That line is still available on FanDuel. I would take it. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 19-1. Ricky Stenhouse has had some decent runs here. You know, if you're betting a guy top 10 at 19-1, if he just hangs in the top 20, doesn't have like some kind of catastrophic day, then you're feeling all right. Because think about Homestead or Vegas. Think about how many guys are minus odds for a top 10 before green flag, and you see a bunch of them between 11th, 14th, 17th, 19th, like in that 10th to 20 range. Minus odds guys end up in that range every single race. So if you see Ricky in that range, he's had a top 10 here in the Gen 7 era, 3 top 20s in the last 4 races, then I'm fine with it. Because if you get a little bit of chaos, a little bit of help, now we're looking at a potential for a top 10. Maybe some strategy. Once again, tire fall off. If we get good tire fall off, I kind of like someone like Ricky Stenhouse. I like the older guys. I like the guys with more experience. So stats aren't going to fly off the board when we're talking about Ricky. But as I said, if he's running in the top 20 at 19-1, you're going to be feeling like, okay, just need a couple things to happen and maybe we can hit this. It's a long shot for a reason, but I think it's worth a small play. Same thing with Justin Haley. Justin Haley, when he was with Colleague and even with Rick Ware last year, some of his best runs were at shorter racetracks. He never got the finishes. There was always some kind of fucked up gremlin, pit road penalty, some kind of nonsense, or just some kind of issue that's, you know, synonymous with driving a Rick Ware racing race car. Respectfully, they're just, you know, they're kind of at the bottom, right? And Justin has struggled at Martinsville. There's no doubt about it. But this is good equipment, man. He finally got a top 10 last week at Homestead. Totally different racetrack. And honestly, if you tail all my bets, it seems like I bet on Justin Haley for top 10 every fucking week. And I'm fine with that because this guy is a breakout candidate. He's figuring it out. And obviously, with what we've seen Hocevar do, this is good quality equipment versus what it has been in the past. This is equipment that is capable of running in the top 15 every single week. And I think Justin Haley, 17-1 for a top 10 again. It's a long shot for a reason, but I'm going to take a shot at it. You never know what might happen, especially because I hadn't even gotten to the fact that it's not a fact, but the possibility of it potentially raining on Sunday. If we get rain, I love these top 10 bets even more because that is how you narrow the gap between the favorites and everybody else. Remember how crazy New Hampshire was last year? I know Christopher Bell still won and he was a favorite, but it was a madhouse. If you get a damp track condition and we get rain tires put on, all hell's going to break loose. There's going to be comers and goers flying through the field. I mean, because these guys are just, they're not set up to run on these tires. You're going to see guys plummet to the back and some guys fly to the front. It's exactly what we saw at New Hampshire. New Hampshire's more grooved. I mean, they've got different, or better grooves, better racing lines. But I think the effect will be similar if we get rain. Last time I looked this morning, looking like we're going to see some precipitation. That could fuck up everything. I mean, everything, especially if you bet a favorite, Ryan Blaney 4-1. I don't know, Elliott down to like 6-1. And then Larson, Hamlin, which FanDuel, by the way, Elliott's plus 750. He should be on everybody's radar. But my point is here, if you get rain and you get these rain tires put on, everything's out the window. I don't know who's going to be good and who isn't. And that's why that makes the top 10 bets even more likely, because you're adding chaos. Guys like Justin Haley, Ricky Stenhouse, I think they're going to need some chaos to get top 10s. Eric Jones, Todd Gilliland, I don't know. I don't think so. I think they can actually, I think they'll be running around the top 15, on speed. Last year, Eric Jones ran in the top 20 both races. In the Gen 7 era with Petty, now Legacy, 4 top 20 finishes, a 12th, a 13th, an 18th, and a 19th. Like at 13-1, totally worth it. Totally worth it. Not his best track, but that is worth it to me if you get a little bit of chaos. So that's what I have for top 10 bets. They worked out last week at Miami with some uncertainty this weekend. I think they could work out again. I got 2 outright plays that I've already plugged. Joey Logano at 11-1, Chase Briscoe 16-1. Both of those lines were courtesy of BetMGM. And Logano still 11-1. Briscoe down to 14-1 on MGM. I want to see if he is 14-1 on Canby. And on DraftKings, 12-1. So I'm fine with 14-1. Remember, we're betting on him to win the pole. If he wins the pole, he's going to be a co-favorite. And they're not going to care about the name Chase Briscoe. They're only going to think about the number 19 car. Joe Gibbs Racing, Truex, James Small. If Briscoe comes out here and wins the pole, they're going to be like, this is a great car. He's going to be a co-favorite. I think he's got potential to have his line slashed in half or worse. So Briscoe, once again, a bet I posted 3 or 4 days ago, I'd plug it. And then Joey Logano, has had a tough year, but this is a good track for him. I clearly their program, not with Penske, because Blaney has proven to be fast in 1.5 miles, but the 22 team with Paul Wolfe and Joey Logano, they just don't have speed in the 1.5 miles. They just don't have it. These short tracks are where they're going to be good. So I would expect Joey Logano, who's won here before, run in the top 5 plenty of times. I would expect him to be a top 5 guy this weekend and contend for the win. So Joey Logano, 11-1, Briscoe, 16-1. I think 2 obvious outrights to throw down before we hit qualifying. And you want to throw in a lean? Yeah, I'm thinking about betting Ryan Preece. 30-1 on FanDuel. Let's check BetMGM. He's had some movement throughout the week. Still 35-1 on BetMGM. That's your best price if you want to go with Ryan Preece. I want to look for a top 5 Ryan Preece plus 475 on BetMGM. And then over on FanDuel, plus 400. So I'm going to go ahead and guess your best top 5 line is going to be on MGM for Ryan Preece. Crazy seeing him for a top 10 at plus basically right around even money. That blows my mind. But I think it is warranted, as we have already discussed here on Dale Center. Now, when I talk about some of these guys like Briscoe, Logano that aren't co-favorites, but somewhere a little, not in the middle of the pack, but probably both in your top 10-ish on outrights, we got to move to some favorites. Who are we looking at on favorites? Obviously, Ryan Blaney. That program's been off the charts at Martinsville. But, and this is the important word, but have you seen what he has done to us? 2 blown engines, constant mistakes, getting wrecked with lights out speed at 3 different racetracks. Can you bet Ryan Blaney 4-1 right now? No. Don't do it. Do not do it, because typically when they've had lights out speed at Martinsville, they don't qualify up front. I'm going to look at Ryan Blaney's starting positions. Last fall, he qualified 14th, had the best car in the field. Last spring, qualified 9th, finished 5th. I think he was maybe the best non-Hendrick car late in that race, because Hendrick finished 1, 2, 3, and then I think Bubba finished 4th. 2023, when he won the fall race at Martinsville, qualified 11th, won. Spring 2023, finished 7th. Not exactly sure what happened in that race, but he qualified 31st. My point here is, in 5 of his last 6 Martinsville starts, he's qualified 9th or worse. And in 4 of those, outside the top 10. Wait on Ryan Blaney. It's not going to shrink. You're not going to see 4-1 or worse, because talk about the favorites. All the Hendrick guys are lined up behind Blaney as a favorite, as co-favorites. Byron, Elliott, Larson, Byron, Elliott. Larson, Elliott, Byron, depending on the book, in that order. But and those guys I expect to qualify well. They always qualify well here, especially Elliott and Larson. So if you wanted to pull a trigger on an outright early, like one of the favorites, I'd go Chase Elliott, 7.5 to 1. Now that has seen some movement. He opened, I think, around 11 to 1 range, 10 to 1 on a few books. But I think 8 to 1 on Canby is the best line that I've seen. And that's probably going to be an addition to my betting card before we hit qualifying, because I think Chase Elliott proved a lot at Bowman Gray earlier this year. First of all, he was fantastic at Martinsville last year. He was easily one of the best cars in both spring and fall. Didn't win, but ran up front, led laps, and got passed by Blaney in the fall with 10 to go, 15 to go. Probably had the second best car. And then in the spring, probably had the second best car to Byron or Larson. Byron came on pretty late in that race. So I think he's been a top 3 guy since the beginning of 2024 at Martinsville. Go to Bowman Gray, you win the pole, and you dominate the race. Had the second best car behind, guess who? Ryan Blaney. Let's just think about this for a second. That's 3 comparable short tracks in a row. Fuck Richmond. Elliott is just terrible there. He's just not good there versus what he is at Martinsville. 3 Martinsville-like races in a row. 2 Martinsville races in Bowman Gray. High braking, tight corners. Chase Elliott has been a top 3 guy. Let's simplify it here. They have figured something out. Hendrick Motorsports short track program has been kind of off and on. Byron has snuck in some wins. Larson's snuck in some wins between Richmond, Martinsville, Phoenix. We're waiting on that Chase Elliott breakthrough, and I think it could definitely happen this weekend, and 8 to 1 is a good price. That's another line. If you practice as well, qualify as well, you could see that come down on every single sports book. So give me Chase Elliott. You're going to have plus money for a top... Plus money for a top 3, plus money for a top 5 everywhere. Well, FanDuel's minus 110. What's DraftKings top 5? Minus 120. Okay, I was wrong. On the top 5, because top 3 on Canby, he's plus 235. Top 5, he is plus 125. So those are all viable options. Outright, top 3, top 5. I think the top 3 and the top 5 are great plays too, because those will also come down if he qualifies well. And you got to protect against Ryan Blaney somehow. If Blaney qualifies 12th, you get a better outright ticket on him at 6 to 1, 7 to 1. Elliott, you take before practice and qualifying. That outright 8 to 1. Take the top 3, 2.5 to 1. Top 5 plus money. There's high potential Blaney is the guy to beat, and Elliott is the second best guy. Again, I would not be surprised if we don't get rain, that is how this plays out. And that's kind of the rain situation is kind of the wild card here that makes me a little nervous. I'm going to check the weather again real quick. Fuck you. 50% chance of rain. Occasional showers for the afternoon. These stupid ads, bro. I hate the Weather Channel. Hate it. Okay. Sunday. It says rain at 12, rain at 5, rain at 6. So kind of looking better now. but that rain percent chance by the hour, starting at 12 o'clock, 32%, 23%, 24%, 20%, 17%, and then up to 37%, up to 50%, which I think by those hours, this race might be over with. So that would be the risk, I would say, betting Elliott early. But I think in normal conditions, this is the best bet of the weekend. Betting Chase Elliott positionals, top 3, top 5 outright. And then we're going to wait. Let's hope Blaney qualifies 15th. Maybe Larson gets the pole. Hamlin qualifies well. Maybe some of these guys just show out. You get some kind of typical Blaney issue, and you know he's going to be a rocket. So you can get a better line on Blaney and focus on maybe some of the Hendrick guys. Chase Elliott in particular. So I love that. I love building that before qualifying and have Elliott, Briscoe, Logano as my outrights. 3 guys I anticipate to qualify well. And then you wait for the typical Blaney, mid qualifying run, mistake in practice, and then we add Blaney to the card, hopefully at something better than 5-1, and then you feel pretty good about it. So that's kind of where I'm at for Cup. Once again, all I have that I have bet: Logano outright, Briscoe outright, and then my top 10 bets: Gilliland, Jones, Smith, Stenhouse. If you get some rain in the forecast, watch out for those guys. And that's what I'm thinking. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. I hope this has been helpful because, we had a big night in trucks last night. Martinsville has been kind of off and on for me. I feel very good about the qualifying card. I feel like I've done my homework, and I've sat out qualifying for a while now, as we've talked about here, week after week. I think this is the week to come back. I think this is the week to come back for qualifying. So that's what I got. Be sure to check out our friends over at advance.gg. Premium performance supplements. Use code DALE at checkout to get 10% off. We need less than 10 more sales to get our own custom shaker. One of these with my face on it, or with Rocky's face on it, my dog, the crew chief. So check that out. There is a link below here on YouTube. Check out Grid Rival. They've got a lot of good things going on with NASCAR and IndyCar. Got a great picks game. Use promo code DALE to get a 100% matching deposit bonus up to $100. It's basically like over-unders type of stuff with NASCAR. I mean, it's a fantasy app that specializes in motorsports. Really cool. Check that out. Also join our season-long fantasy league. $1,000 prize package to the winner at the end of the season. And then if you want to see all the bets with specific unit allocations, check out Dub Club. The Dale Club is rocking after Friday night. We've teamed up for 2025 to deliver winning NASCAR bets all year long. So if you want to see all the bets, make sure you subscribe to Dub Club. Extremely cheap. I'm going to have free plays all the time, off and on. I give you everything for free here before we hit the weekend typically. So if I help you win money, please be sure to like, share, subscribe. Much appreciated for the support. Hope we have another big weekend like we did in Miami, and carry on our momentum through the paperclip here at Martinsville. So thanks for the support. I'll see you guys next